Good morning, everybody.
Guten Morgen, meine
And a
Damen
very
und
warm
Herren.
welcome to you all.
Und nochmal ganz herzlich willkommen.
Welcome to the many ministers and their
Ich möchte
delegations
den verschiedenen
from the more than 50 countries that are members of the forum. A warm welcome to our chair, Mr. Yıldırım of Turkey, and a special welcome also to India, who are hoping to become a member at this session, and to China here as a special guest for the first time. Welcome also to all the high-level representatives of business and industry. Ministers created this forum because they believe that the challenges of transport are so important that they require strong and active participation from the business community to help solve them. Welcome also to our research community, who provide so many of the ideas and analysis that continually challenge policymakers. Welcome to the press. We hope you will find much material of interest here. And a special thanks to our partners, to our sponsors, to our exhibitors, and to our many speakers. Thank you all sincerely. This year's forum occurs at a very difficult time. Global production is down, trade is down even more, and transport is down most of all, by over 20% in many markets and sectors. There are real fears now that the sector will be seriously damaged by this sudden and profound downturn. Finance has dried up, companies are failing, supply chains are weakened, and protectionism is on the increase. We are in a situation of overcapacity when 1 year ago we had bottlenecks and shortages. Instability and uncertainty are the bywords. It is therefore an enormous challenge for us all at this event to chart some ways forward for our sector. One certainty is that transport is more important than it has ever been, in business, in the lives of citizens, and in the world economy. The figures alone, whether it's 8% of jobs, 15% of household spending, 6% of value added, tell only part of the story. The transport sector is at the heart of globalization. The logistics and passenger services that we have developed strongly support trade and economic growth. But it goes well beyond that, and there is hardly a global threat or challenge that does not have a significant transport component. Whether it's mass migrations, conflicts, natural disasters, health threats, or even piracy, transport is strongly involved. We should not forget that the global transport system has made extraordinary advances, and mobility now is cheaper, cleaner, faster, and more efficient than it has ever been. But this is never enough, and transport policy and its decision makers cannot stand still. We have numerous problems in accessing each other's markets, in crossing borders, in providing cleaner and safer transport, and in financing our system. These challenges are not particular to the crisis, but the crisis gives urgency to the need to resolve them. There is a unique opportunity at this event to identify some of the key actions that can be taken in the transport sector to help improve our economies, and to allocate responsibility for pushing forward the actions that are needed. Already in the last 2 days here, we have had intensive stakeholder and research roundtables and discussion. The conclusions and key ideas have already been drafted, are outside the room, are on the internet. But today, the ministers and the industry leaders have the opportunity to react to these and any other points they have, and say how they see the way forward. Overall, we hope you all have an opportunity to make your voice heard here, but also that you all learn something and can bring some new ideas back home. There is a great deal of background information available. All of it is on the website, and we hope you avail of it and your staffs avail of it. Of course, while you are here, you should profit also from the opportunity to see and understand the transport industry and logistic companies in the region of Saxony and in Leipzig. And you should also try to profit from the rich cultural and musical tradition in this area, as exemplified by Bach, by Mendelssohn, by Handel. Again, a very warm welcome to you all, and we wish you a fruitful and stimulating conference. I'm now pleased to hand over to Melinda Crane, who will moderate the rest of the morning session. Thank you very much.
Distinguished ministers, Secretary General, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen. I am very pleased to welcome you all here today at the second International Transport Forum on behalf of my country, Republic of Turkey. I would like to extend my sincere thanks to Your Excellencies, Secretary General Mr. Jack Short and his team for tireless effort preparation of this conference. Ladies and gentlemen, at this conference is a time-wise very important because we facing a global financial crisis. When we choose the title of the conference, at that time there was no crisis at all. No transport for global economy, challenges and opportunities. Now the time comes, we face very deep financial crisis. This topic, this title even become more and more important for the whole transport sector. Globalization of production and trade are perhaps the foremost characteristic of our era. The large scale of economic activities, astonishing speed of technological development allow lower production cost, higher productivity, and greater wealth today. Transport, no doubt, is an indispensable part of this process as being a vital production, distribution, and mobility tool. This sector drives trade by interconnecting every business to the markets all over the world and is absolutely crucial for economic growth and competitiveness. Naturally, transport is one of the sectors that has been heavily affected by the global financial crisis. It is now obvious that a contracting global economy, a corresponding downfall in transport demands, the freeze of credit, and increased operational costs have led to an unforeseen wave of economic difficulties and job losses in the sector. Ladies and gentlemen, dear participants, shrinking demand originating from global crisis has led a considerable decrease in import and export, global trade, and serious recession in the sector consequently. Liquidity crunch experience, especially in the developed countries, leads to economic constriction in general terms, and thus decreasing in demand leads to recession. As the demand for transport services is decreasing rapidly, deadly competition among the actors is emerging. Transport companies are significantly decreasing the size of their fleets, and the economic difficulties force to cut jobs. As it is directly linked to economic activity and trade, freight transport suffers from the negative effects of economic crisis more severely. The main impact of the crisis on the freight transport is falling demand for transport services owing to the decrease in circulation of capitals and goods. Dear participants, another vital issue challenging our sector is the credit crunch, which is a direct consequence of the financial crisis. With the degrees of willingness and the capabilities of the bank to lend credit, trade finance, global trade, and consequently transport area got a severe blow. Limited access to the credits and insufficient liquidity are especially a major concern for capital-intensive operators, such as logistic companies investing and employing costly equipment. Transport companies are struggling to survive with their limited financial sources and credit opportunities in an environment where the global production and trade are shrinking. Dear participants, the answers to the above-mentioned challenges in the transport sector, we began to look for a way to deal with those affected by minimum damage. Recovery plans to cope with impact of economic downturn on transport sector may raise public debt, which may later on transform into extra taxes or reduce public financing for transport infrastructure. In this context, it is important that the public and private sector work together to establish a modern, efficient, and sustainable transportation system to take the advantage of upturn in the economy when it comes. Some say less than a year, some more than a year. It is still unclear how long the recession will last, but until it is over, it is essential to put in place a coordinated response to help the transport sector in facing these challenges. Even during the crisis environment, domestic demand should be kept alive. Projects realized nationally shall meet the loss of internationally. The remedy of the crisis is to invest in order to support domestic markets. Otherwise, there is always a potential that the crisis will deepen and deepen. Shortage of the financial resources for transport infrastructure projects has become a more delicate issue during this period. Therefore, international planning and prioritization should focus on the global transport accessibility, interconnections, and missing links. We should be aware of the fact that investment in transport infrastructure has a vital role in the current economic downturn. Our priority must be to continue to invest in transport infrastructure that can stimulate an economy-wide upturn and create jobs. You know, during the crisis, many countries, including developed countries, they set up a certain stimulating package investing infrastructure project. Because during crisis time, the only sector which don't need the demand is infrastructure. If you invest and support any other sector, manufacturing, goods and services, they need trade and marketing. But if we invest in infrastructure, there is no need, urgent need for demand. It is only necessary to be ready for the future. And improve your infrastructure will, of course, reduce cost of transportation. This will provide advantage of global trade and domestic trade freely. Ladies and gentlemen, in this regard, both public sector and banks and private sector should collaborate in current hard days and share additional short-term cost of constructing transport infrastructure to enjoy benefits together with long-term. Private funding for infrastructure development, either directly or via private partnership, is crucially important instrument for economic recovery because, all the time, the general budget of the government not sufficient for improving infrastructure project. So that we need, even it is too important during crisis period, to use alternative financing possibilities, PPP or BOT, whatever available. In this regard, government should take necessary measures to encourage private sector to invest in transport infrastructure. During this period, national protectionist policies, isolationist measures, and any drawbacks will absolutely worsen the situation. On the contrary, the global crisis could pave way for more eager cooperation among the actors for the eliminating of many non-physical barriers, thanks to the urgency that the crisis created, the broken resistance of some parties as a result of the crisis as well. Simplification and harmonization of procedures of transport activities, eliminating problems at the border crossing, and the solutions to other kind of restrictions against the international transport should be at the top of our agenda. We must act together to prevent deepening effect of the crisis. As we see here today, the climate for international cooperation is more favorable than ever before. I believe that we all have the consciousness of the shared responsibility to combat with the economic downturn and to restore the stability, confidence, and growth. In this regard, timing of this forum, the second International Transport Forum, under the topic Transport for Global Economy, Challenges, Opportunities in Economic Downturn, is crucial. It is being held at a time when the transport sector is undertaking the burden of the financial crisis. It provides us with a good opportunity to access together the challenges and opportunities that this crisis brings. I truly believe that all of us are ready with our all effort to restore confidence in global economy and make our transport sector less vulnerable. Distinguished gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished participants, we should look beyond if we wish to overcome the effect of this crisis. Our short-term measures should not cloud our long-term objectives. Having the presidency of the second annual meeting, Turkey is confident that the Forum year 2009 will provide strong outcome for maintaining international transport activities fast, efficient, secure enough to keep up with the dynamism of the global economy. I would like to concluding my words saying that during these 2 days, we will have a very fruitful discussion and meeting panels session in order to reduce the effect of global financial crisis on the transport sector. Once again, I would like to thank those who contributed to this international event, especially host country, my colleague, Mr. Tiefensee and his team, Jack Short and his team, and the city mayor of Leipzig contribute a lot, and I warmly welcome you all for the participating in this important event. I thank you all with my respect. Thank you.
Dear Jack Short, dear colleague Binali Yıldırım, ladies and gentlemen, dear participants of the Second International Transport Forum, on behalf of the Federal Government of Germany and the Federal Republic of Germany, let me welcome you here at the Leipzig Fair. We are happy to see that in this room now every chair is occupied by a participant. Ladies and gentlemen, we are facing a common challenge. We also have common interests. We have common visions. We have a major common responsibility. And together we must take up the commitment in order to meet those challenges. The International Trade Forum, now taking place for the second time in Leipzig, is an ideal platform for dialogue between politicians and business people, companies and the scientific community and politicians, representatives of the public domain, of the media, and for all of them to look for solutions in difficult times. So let me welcome you most heartily to participate in these debates and discussions. Our topic, namely connecting the globalized world and transport, is the very apropos topic. When we thought about what the topic should be for the conference, nobody at that time knew that we would be in the midst of a crisis. This crisis will not paper over the central problems without also being able to look at the backdrop of the economic and financial crisis. Here we need to create also jobs and save those jobs, especially as far as they're concerned, the different sectors of industry, transport. Then, of course, we have the problems of demographic change. We have a different makeup of our societies now, but also, of course, quality of life and accepting transport, traffic, what that means, and also security and safety of our transportation technology. Now, if you think that this is the opening event, then I have to remind you that yesterday another event was inaugurated. 200 children inaugurated a children's university. Moritz Leuenberger, a colleague of mine, and I, together with the mayor of Leipzig, Burkhard Jung, we stood and answered the questions that children had about the future. And it was so amazing to see children, 8 years old, already knew about CO2, were able to pronounce the words biodiesel, and they said, why aren't we building a car where you have mineral water and you could shake that mineral water and use that energy that's created in order to drive our vehicles? Incredible ideas were developed in order to come up with those questions and then to try to find answers. So in other words, we have to deal actually with the hard facts of reality. Now, what is it that we must not do, and what is it that we should do? Now, what we must not do is to protect our markets. Protectionism, building a fortress, building walls around our countries and markets is bad. It hurts the economy, it hurts the field of research, it hurts our consumers, and it hurts everyone. So therefore, let's keep our markets open. Let's keep our countries and borders open. Let's look for solutions together. Now, what is it that we must and should do? We must bet on innovation. And if it is going to be possible to come from that valley that we're in at the moment and move up again, and then we have to bet on new standards, new technology, innovation. For example, within the stability pacts that are being created, 500 million euros are going to be used in order to drive electrification of our drive systems. We want to research battery systems, accumulator systems. We want to do field research in the different regions, because electrical mobility will be one way of getting out of the predicament we're in. So let's take this forum that we now have here in order to find solutions and how to move even more strengthened out of the difficulties that we're in at the moment. So, dear colleagues, dear ministers of transport, we're not the ministers only responsible for infrastructure. That is also part of our portfolio, and bringing that forward is the right road to go down. But it is much more. We are the ones who are responsible for efficiently using our modes and means of transport, for making sure that climate change is thwarted by means of new technologies, by organizing transport in an intelligent manner. That is our purview. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am extremely pleased and am looking forward to getting down to work again with everyone from Leipzig, and I'm glad to see that you have supported us in making Leipzig once again a center for this development, and I hope that our common vision, our common challenges will be met in very concrete common projects. It's up to us. Thank you very much.